time. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the extra hour sleep with that fallback. Not too shabby. Let's get into the risk disclaimer. We know there's risk in trading. Please don't always use trade capital only. You know the deal there. Social media, best place to find me is right here on YouTube, youtube.com/Chris Pulver for the weekly outlook. And other videos on my playlist with Trading 101. Keep it seriously simple, stuff like that. So check me out on Twitter at Chris Pulver. Join the Discord channel. I post that in the YouTube sessions. And off we go. Let's get into the charts. Amazing week last week with volatility movement, just big relief rally. We're going to see if it's sustainable. We're going to see if it's a, push to the upside, cover some short squeezes, give a broad market rally to the beat up stocks that were way undervalued slash, oversold. And we'll see if this market, fades a little bit around this 440 area. Obviously, with this time of the year going into November, December, if there's not much to disrupt this momentum, perhaps the market does everything in its power to come back and retest these highs, if not push a smidge higher. Or, of course, last week was great, and then we have the market kind of facing the reality, like profits being booked, positions being like returning back to lows or fading some of those big moves and gaps we saw. Heavy earnings week again. We had over 1,000 companies last week. We have over 1,000 companies this week. I think it's like 1,100 companies plus this week. Let me look at some notables. We are looking for some notables, anything we have ownership in. We do have some ownership in Workhorse. I might take a look at Uber this week. So I'm going to make a note here for my equities on demand trading room. We can look at pricing in some Uber, Robinhood. Maybe we'll see how that prices out. Gilead, Rivian. I'm sure there's going to be some volatility there. Lucid, another EV car company, kind of a Tesla rival. Roblox, wouldn't mind looking at that one. Fisker, another one, a lot of EVs this week. Wow. So we have EVs with Rivian, Lucid, and Fisker. Beyond Meat, this one is well below its initial, I think it was a SPAC offering in 2020 or 2021. Marathon Digital Holdings, we're going to keep an eye on that one. That's a mining company with Bitcoin. We have some exposure there. Disney, of course, nice tried and true one. Uber and Lyft reporting at the same week. All right. AMC, no thanks. Novavax, Groupon, Canopy Growth, Sunworks. Okay, so that's going to be my list of, some we have ownership of, some we're looking at some volatility, maybe some jumps and gaps. I'll look at pricing some of these out to see if we maybe have a couple of option plays this week. Otherwise, probably going to position myself for the SPY, the Qs, and we'll see how that plays out. Let me log in and say good morning to everyone that's popping in, saying hello. And let me bring up my drawing tool.
Introducing
Iron Beam. FK, good morning. Donna, good morning. What is happening? Gary, good morning. Donna, thank you. Trish, good morning. Dave, good morning. Angela, Perry, Denise, and Chris, and Larry, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy Monday, happy Monday. All right, let me get this out of the way here. Okay, morning, Don. Morning, Marshall. So let's talk positioning. Equities on demand, we're going to start that at 10 o'clock, and I'm probably going to look for another, approach to the butterfly spreads this week where we look at a little window here, little window here, little window here. I know that obviously that type of approach is going to possibly lose 2 of the 3 trades, but if we win one, it covers all of them, makes us profit. And then I'll look at pricing in possibly a neutral position. We bumped up the volatility for the week. Now it was 1180 last week. Now it's up to 1207 with that big stretch last week. I think the market moved about $22 from low to high last week. Low at 412, high at 436. Is that right? 412 wow. So over $24 last week in the SPY. Wow. That is over 200% of the weekly trading range. So big relief rally. I posted this in my Discord channel. And I also posted it on Twitter. Heat map from last week. This wasn't just a post on Friday. This was last week. So everything was up. The 5-day tracker for all the sectors, everything was up. So, broad market rally, at least for the week. Whether it's sustained and it continues, we will find out. But again, pretty exciting week to have some crazy volatility. And, it really played out nicely after a correction that we forecasted. So high to low, lower low. We broke the neckline, hit that resistance perfectly, and then measured that move. We went right down about $1 past it to fulfill that head and shoulders, and then just ripped to the upside last week. Despite the Fed, despite non-farm payroll, And this week, the calendar is pretty light. We don't have a ton going on with the calendar this week. What I saw high impact wise that was notable is the RBA, Reserve Bank of Australia, possibly raising rates, expected to raise rates by 25 basis points. That could help them close the gap against the New Zealand dollar. That can help them possibly close the gap against the dollar a little bit. Dollar's still sitting at 5.25, 5.5. We'll see what their statement comes with it, whether they raise rates or not. We'll see what that Aussie volatility looks like this week. Inflation expectations out of New Zealand. We have Governor Bailey speaking out of the Bank of England, Powell speaking at a I think it's a panel. He's on a panel this week. Opening division somewhere in DC. Okay. Uh, did that just change? Opening. I could have swore this. That is weird. Well, maybe not. Maybe I'm just making something up. Maybe it was this one. Nope. I thought that the Powell speech I looked at this morning was slightly different. He was actually going to talk about monetary policy and global economy, but anyway, Chinese CPI, unemployment claims for the U.S. policy. This is the one I was looking at. So this is Thursday. Participate in a panel discussion titled "Monetary Challenges in the Global Economy." Again in D.C. Guy loves his panels. GDP for the pound and U of M consumer sentiment on Friday. So way less volatility expected, but we'll see if there's momentum. I think there's going to be some decent movement. We'll position for it. Looking forward to trading with everybody this week. Currency strength chart for right now. Pretty quiet on the vertical axis. We have a tie at the top, the euro, the Swiss, the pound, dollar and CAD are in the middle, Aussie, yen, and New Zealand on the weaker side. So again, not a lot of volatility on the vertical axis. We'll see if this expands to the U.S. session in any way, shape, or form. Let me do a quick check on the portfolio builder. We were up in some profits last week. I posted this on Friday with the spot check. Let me log into Telegram. Here we go. Where's my Telegram? Portfolio builder. As of Friday, we had two extra positions, actually three positions filled. We had Aussie Swiss with 2 buy stops, and New Zealand Swiss with 1 buy stop. I added a pending order on the New Zealand CAD for a pullback, which possibly today we're getting filled, so I'm good with that. That was 81.50. Trade tracker reflects these updates. We were up 414 pips going into Friday. That would have been last week, the 3rd. So 414 pips is a big difference compared to like the -3, -4, 500 pips we were in when we got some accumulation going. All right, let's take a look at some other charts. So SPY-Q, any continuation from last week, we will be watching for. I might be looking at this, traders. Just keep it ready for equities on demand. I might do some butterfly spreads on both the Qs and the SPY. I might not do a strangle this week. I might do a hypothetical strangle instead. With such a crazy week of volatility, I'm going to see how the options are played out and what those strangle spreads look like. Because if they're now $15 apart as opposed to $11 or $12 apart, that might make it tougher for us to reach our profit goals. So I think I'm going to look at some butterfly spreads on the Qs and the SPY and see if we can pin one of those by Friday. And let's say we pin a Q trade, we have 1 of 3 chances. We pin a SPY trade, 1 of 3 chances. We get 1 of those right or 2 of those right. We're probably going to walk away with $3 or $4 of credit net on the week, which I would not be upset with. Let me do a quick spot check on the Forex side. All right, Matt, good morning from Orlando. How are you, man? Marshall, good morning. Big crowd today. Yeah, let's get it. Let's get it. Thanks, Jason. Thanks, Jacob. Nice to see everybody. Okay, so that's that. Let's go DXY, the instrument we were watching for this big breakdown. The weekly candle did break below 105.50. So here's what I'd like to look for on the dollar index. This is going to be really important that this posture is maintained. If we're going to see further upside in the stock market, I think the dollar index still has to hold this resistance area, right? This is past support becoming a resistance. If that holds and the dollar continues to push lower this week, that is a good sign for risk appetite and a good sign for the broader market in the U.S. to rally. So, and again, think about this. The correlation was pretty true. We had a top right here and the dollar dropped for the remainder of the week. This is a daily chart, so this would have been Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. So FOMC Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, big push down in the dollar, and look what the market did. The market ripped to the upside. One of the biggest weeks we've seen all year. So if there's more to that, if we have a pullback here in the DXY and then another push lower, guess what? We might have a pullback in the stock market and another push trying to reach some highs. So we can position for that. Okay. So I'll be looking for that area to kind of play out. Again, if it's a big turd sandwich the dollar delivers, then the dollar comes back up and reaches highs. I still think it's divergent. I think we're going into a correctional move on the dollar at some point. But at this time, because we had 11, 12 weeks of up rolling over, if the dollar just rolls over, I'm looking to take this back down into 103, 103.50 for at least a halfway point. If we continue to see that pressure on the dollar, then let's hit these broadening pattern lows, and let's see if the stock market and other correlated assets will continue to reflect dollar weakness. Oil hanging out with a nice supply zone, or I should say a demand zone support zone of $80. Still hanging in there, and this is a better chart to read my oil right here. Herschel, you asking about the heat map? You can go to finviz.com in the right-hand corner right here. This is all heat map stuff. You can click on that. Go to 1-day performance. Last week I pulled that screenshot in my Discord channel. I posted it from a weekly performance. So I just did 1 week, and that's what I pulled on Friday. So that gave us Monday through Friday after closing bell. That was the result. And you can do this. This is S&P 500, so that just gave me a snapshot of the broader market. You can go world market. You can go everything. You can go just exchange traded funds. So it's kind of cool to see. If you want to trade like the broader baskets, you can just go ETFs. S&P 500 obviously is the broad market for the U.S. 500 largest companies, right? So that's a good source for it. All right, oil right here. Amazon at 140. This is good. Own some shares. Covered call at 150. That's going out to I think December. So I've got some room on that one, and I will definitely roll that. If Amazon's gonna breach highs, I'm gonna roll that and keep rolling it. So that's oil. Let's go gold and silver. Did they make a move last week with the dollar? Not really. So the dollar breached that 105.50, but there was a disconnect between oil and the dollar. I'm sorry, gold and the dollar. The dollar was sideways while gold was ripping, and now the dollar actually dropped below that 105.50 support, and gold didn't really go anywhere. So maybe this realigns. If we have a dollar drop, perhaps this is more of a bull flag, and gold continues to push a little bit higher. Just be careful on gold because the way it stretched so aggressively, I wouldn't be surprised if we have a pullback. We have some good pivot structure in here. Monthly pivot, weekly pivot, look at this low to high, pull back 30, 38% before we get another rip to the upside. So we could see a pullback coming on gold. If I'm going to short gold, it's going to be up here with confirmation. If I'm looking to get long, I think this area looks pretty good to possibly establish some buy positions again. But I want to see a dip around 1940 to 1920 before I just buy the highs. If I'm looking at any breakout, I like silver better. Silver is sitting here at the highs, didn't perform the same way as gold, but if we have this move and a little bit of consolidation, a break higher, silver looks postured for some more upside. So I'm liking the technicals on silver better, and I've been that way for months now. Bitcoins, take a quick peek. Bitcoin trading at 35.10. I don't like the look of this. Stretching higher, 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 higher. Weekly pivot from last week, monthly pivot for November, daily pivot, big fat pocket candle right there. Again, it's just this would be why I'm looking to buy it, right? Somewhere in here, there's a big inefficiency. I could see price stretching into some overbought territory, just technically speaking, and then have Bitcoin dip a little bit, find this weekly, find this monthly pivot. But I'm certainly looking to buy some dips around this 33 to 31,000 zone. Doesn't have to be super precise. I will probably throw in another chunk right in there and see if this past resistance becomes support. And then the next level is we're talking about this at 37, 38, 40 plus. And hopefully 48,000 is at least a benchmark we can hit maybe by the end of the year if this bull market continues. Okay, so I'm going to set a chart. I've got the chart alarm set at the monthly pivot. That is 32,143, so just roughly 32,000. If we hit that pocket right around 32.8, pull back into past resistance around 31.7. So like I said, anywhere between 33 and 31. Chart alarms are acceptable. It doesn't have to be super precise, but I'm going to probably throw in a couple bucks right there. All right. Any other requests? Any charts? Type it in. Any stocks, any charts, anything you like to look at, type it in the chat. Let me do this while I am here. If you are if you're new to the channel and want to check out the Discord group, you're more than welcome to. Here is a link for the free chat. I'll just post this right now in the YouTube chat. So this is a Discord channel. Okay. So that's the link you can join. SOXX. All right, we'll take a look at that. And let's do this. So structure on the Aussie dollar. We have a rate decision coming from the RBA. We could probably have a pullback and a push higher. I like that we have been waiting for this coiled move to show some signs of life. Ripping up here, a nice little pullback, and see if we have a go back to the 200, above the 200. Really nice supply zones in here, a big pocket area, and halfway to the midpoint around 66. I told traders this in my flex room. 6650 to 6700, looking for profit on this squeeze to the upside. So I'm still long an Aussie dollar. That's my profit target right in here. That's profit target 1. If I want to let it run for the remainder of the year, if we have a holiday drift that's anti-dollar, then we could possibly see, fresh highs around 69 or even 7,000 on the Aussie dollar. So I do like that positioning. Dollar CAD, I didn't get a trade last week, but we did get a nice push. This does make me, I'm like, I don't know, maybe 55-45 on wanting to trade the dollar CAD. High to low, I could see this, a little bit of a pullback, another push lower. We do have a pivot here. We have some pockets. We have lots of junk in this area around 1.35. So I think if I was going to position for it this week, I look for a pullback at the weekly pivot and then see if it pushes lower. This might be position 1, and then even take this up to like even a 140. Put in a pending order at this weekly pivot. If it goes any higher and we have divergent highs, I might look at something like that, like a rising wedge, sell it at 1.3950, 1.40, and then see if this thing wants to drop. So we'll probably position for that for Forex. I actually might make that one of my top picks for Tuesday when I come into class. Okay. Are we good on sound? Let me double check I'm still pushing broadcast. Yeah, should be good on sound. Just check your volume situation on YouTube. Make sure it's not muted. Check your speaker volume, stuff like that. Obviously, I'm getting some responses, so I think everyone's in. SOXX. This is semiconductor stuff. Got it. Yeah, I'm not chasing this. I mean, if you want to trade this ETF at $470, go for it. I would trade options only. I'm not interested in owning that. 100 shares of that's going to cost you $47,000. No thanks. I like this structure-wise. So I'd like to see semiconductors, pulling back, maybe basing here with all this previous structure around 440 to 420. If possible, this is a situation where I want price to come to me. I'm not chasing semiconductors. I don't know. That'd be like chasing Nvidia at this point. So I think if we have a pullback and we set a chart alarm at 432 and we breach those lows, then I'd be looking for opportunities to get long in the short term. This looks like just a corrective channel to play out. Okay. XRP, that's a little Ripple action. Ripple, ooh, what's up, Ripple? 72 cents. I'm liking this. This is probably helping my overall Coinbase wallet because I still have a ton of Ripple that I can't do anything with. Let me check this bad boy. I think I've got some Ripple that's going to make me smile. I just need to figure out how I can, convert it somehow. There we go. Yeah, Ripple's doing pretty well. Okay. So yeah, that's a nice trajectory on Ripple. This was where we had this big one-day rip and it faded all the way back down. I'm liking this. I mean, as far as the technical structure, having this big impulsive move and then finding efficiencies here, this was an accumulation though, and that's starting to run. So I think I would look for a reasonable pullback and just see if we can keep buying dips and then establish more of a trend structure on Ripple. I don't think it's going to run all by itself. I don't think we're just going to have a Ripple bull market without having everything else move. So looking at Bitcoin, looking at Ethereum, I'd be watching the overall market cap. Is it increasing? Ethereum's been on a nice little run as well, off the lows at 15 up to 19. So decent percentage movements here. That is off about 24% off the lows. If I go to coinmarketcap.com, this should have been increasing, or $1.33 trillion. I want to look at the trend on this in the last maybe, let's see, all time. I mean, this has been trending for sure. If I zoom in here, can I zoom in? Hmm. Well, what I'm looking at is this without getting too far in the weeds. So we're on at least a trend to the upside. That's what I'd be looking for. Trading volume, let's see if we can go trading volume increase in the last year. This should be a big trend to the upside. So we had a lot more volume coming in the last, week or so with that big spike up. But this is what I'm looking for. There's at least showing more interest. The wallets and the numbers, just sheer quantities of how many wallets are in crypto right now with Coinbase and other platforms. It's pretty staggering, and part of it's because it's not a lot of money that's required. It's obviously not the traditional broker like a Schwab or E-Trade or Fidelity and stuff like that. But still, we'll see if it's a chance for the little traders to get ahead and kind of front run this move and see where Bitcoin wants to go. Ethereum can go with it. Ripple, I like the structure. Like I said, Ripple looks good technically. I just want to see if a kind of a broader crypto rally. Okay. All right. Pound and euro dollar. Yep. So pound and euro dollar. I am long on the euro dollar. I did not get a chance to get long in the pound dollar. I'm still well. I wanted to get long at 1.20. You can see that never filled. Okay, so I was waiting to see if this, kind of sideways crap would push down one more time, then I could get it long off of 2,000. That trade didn't play out, so I could look for something like this. Maybe a pullback on the dollar, maybe a fresh low on the dollar. I might still get my entry, but this technical structure, if we break the trend line, pulling back into, let me just draw a trend line here. I know I've got to go in a few minutes, but something like that. If we pull back a little bit and then start to run, awesome. We come back into all the structure here around 2,600. I like long on the pound dollar. If there's entry one around a weekly pivot, monthly pivot, that's great. If it pulls back to maybe some fresh lows or equal lows around 1.20, I might look at position myself for something like that going into end of the year or Q1 next year. So I do like long on pound dollar and euro dollar. Euro dollar, I'm in. I just put in a buy stop, and that got filled at 106.50. Now we're up 107.40, so we're up about 90 pips. Same thing here. There might be a pullback. There might be a pullback into the channel, but it just kind of maintains this look. If we hit 108, I've already decided I'm going to close out that trade. So I like Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar better as far as the technical structure versus euro and pound. I like these better. So I'm looking to get and stay long, add positions on Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, euro dollar. I am long, up about 90 pips. If we get to 100 plus, again, we should probably move our stop losses, make sure it's risk free, and then try to go after that 150 pip take profit around 108. But I'm long on both of those right now, Trish. Okay. All right. Good questions there. Yen crosses. No thanks. Dollar yen, possibly a head and shoulders. I know this is the daily time frame, but I don't know. I think I would trust the yen like a snake right now. Not a lot. So I still think just short-term alignments follow. Focus on buying for right now. The BOJ is not shifting policy. If anything changes, maybe the end of the year, which is coming up. Obviously, less than 2 months away. But it would be, like a sell stop could be the proper trade. Once you're activated, putting a stop loss in. There is obviously risk on all these Japanese yen trades. The carry trade is not in your favor. So the easiest trade, in my opinion, on the yen for the end of the year is that big institutions are just going to hold everything against the yen. Not going to hold yen, they're going to hold everything against the yen, and maybe it's a Q1, big positioning. I'm not sure, but we have seen intervention, and I think maybe here intervention. There were two or three like very quiet ones, but none of them have broken lows. So I just think that the BOJ is not going to change anything right now and not change anything drastically. And carry is king at the moment. Cash is king at the moment. And it's making, the yen crosses difficult to sell. So I'd say still follow short-term alignments, focus on buying, buy the dips, have stop losses, take your profits, stuff like that. Yep. No change to policy. Not a surprise. Not a surprise. Okay, I'm going to wrap things up there. Just a few minutes before the top of the hour. Equities on demand. Let's get started at 10 o'clock. I'm looking at, like I said, I'll probably do some butterfly spreads this week. Last week was a wild and crazy move. It's increasing and shifting the expectations on weekly ATRs. I think for some of the trades we take with those directionally neutral strangles with options, I don't necessarily want to be outpriced, right? I don't want my my 25 to 30 delta moves to be $15 apart, because that means we have to have big volatility to get those to pay us. And I don't want that. I'd like it to be within reason. I'd like it to be, $10 to $12 apart, and then the market moves what it's supposed to and possibly surpasses it by a couple of bucks on the upside or downside. But that's how those strangles pay us really well. Like last week, I mean, the trade we took for $3.30, I believe, was paying at one point around fudge. I don't even know, maybe $14 or $15. I got out with like $7. So it was a huge profit on not just the SPY, but the Qs, the IWM, any trade that we really looked at, touched last week was pretty solid. So exciting stuff. Okay, I think that's going to do it for me today. Naz, sure, take is it ND on here? NDX. Yep. So I'm going to position on NDX a lot like I'm going to do on the SPY. There is some structure in here I need to be mindful of. We're coming into some pretty solid resistance. If this is a channel, again, I don't know if it's going to be, a big letdown and we just fade that entire move, or this is, look, the bottom is in for the rest of the year. We put in a little bit of a pullback just for some profit taking. We have big fat gaps from last week that could certainly be attractive for this week's market. So, coming in and filling one gap or two gaps or three gaps, it doesn't have to take out the low, obviously. We can just pull back and have a 38 to 50% retracement, and then we can see if the markets are ready to rip and possibly breach that structure. Maybe the target would be this for the highs. Come back and retest the highs of the year. So I think there's going to be a little bit of pullback coming this week, and if the market can rip higher, I don't know. I don't know if the market wants to go any higher, can go any higher this week. It might be a settlement week where we had this big low to high, market settles this week, and I'm going to try to position for that. So I'll probably have some boxes on my charts where I can position for, an upper level, a medium level, and a lower level, and do that on the SPY and the Qs, and then see how it plays out this week. And then we'll manage it really by Friday. That'll be the plan. So we're going to get busy in equities on demand. I'll let you go for today. We'll be back on Friday. This week, I'm going to try to post a video for my video series on Trader's Path to 100%. I think it's time to do another spot check. It's been a couple weeks. I should be on episode 4. Also, you can check out my Trading 101 video series. I have some option videos in there. I obviously talk a lot of stocks, a lot of options, a lot of Forex. So if you'd like to know more, just check out some of those videos in my playlists and leave comments and ask for some information, ask for requests. But until then, I'll see you in the trading room. Join the Discord channel, and happy trading, lots of profits. I'll see you on Friday, and everyone in the trading room is with me. Let's have a great week. All right, thanks, everybody. See you soon. Bye.